Have you ever thought about the impact that gas prices, low gas prices, have on the environmental industry? Welcome to the EnviroTalk program. I'm Travis Bowman. I'm the president of Environmental Workshops. EnviroWorkshops.com is our website. But we train environmental professionals all over the globe on technologies that are used to clean up contaminated soil, groundwater, and air pollution. And so our speakers at our workshops are leaders in the industry. Some of them hold many different patents. And so our speakers are training the environmental professional on the latest ways on cleaning up contamination. And pollution truly is a global problem. I mean, we're dealing with a pandemic right now. And I've said many times that truly pollution globally is somewhat of a pandemic. And so anyway, that's what our program here today on EnviroTalk. We'll be chatting with a little further with one of our guests who speaks at our workshops a lot. But also check out our website, EnvrioSummit. We're hosting a global summit as we've gone all over the globe with our environmental workshops. We've actually been on 20 different countries, 6 continents, hosted about 400 workshops around the globe and seen about 20,000 environmental professionals registered. So now we're actually hosting a global summit. So check out EnvrioSummit.com. That'll be in Charlotte, North Carolina, September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, a little bit later this year. But today we're joined by John Fontana. He's the president of a company called Vista GeoScience. It's based in Denver, Colorado. And they do a range of they offer a range of environmental services in the industry. And John, welcome to the program. You actually have been part of our workshops from the beginning, from early on.
Yep.
And so it's been great. Every time we're in Denver, Colorado, John really is our host there, and he brings in people from all over. We have over 100 people every time we're in Denver, Colorado. Really thanks in part to you, John.
We always get a good turnout at that one.
It is. So welcome to the program, John. Tell us a little bit more about Vista GeoScience.
So Vista GeoScience, a lot of people hear about us and they say, oh, well, they have geoprobes, they're a drilling company, but we're really not just drillers, and we're a lot more than that. I started the company as a soil gas investigation company for oil and gas exploration in the late 80s, and that became a tool that was used for environmental investigations. So we own some of the first geoprobe rigs that were out there. We started building mobile laboratories, and it grew from there. So we have now the region's best high-resolution site characterization technologies. We maintain the latest technology in that. We have a background in doing fixed laboratory and mobile laboratory work, so that really applies directly to understanding how that technology works. And we also do a lot of in situ injection treatment technologies. So it's been really great being with the workshops, the Enviro workshops, because that puts all those technologies together. We feel like we help our clients from the initial investigation phase to the high-resolution conceptual site model design for the remediation, and that moves right into the application of the in-situ treatment with all these different kinds of compounds we have out there for putting in the ground these days, of which there are many. Many speak at the workshops, and it's always great because we get an interactive thing going at the workshops and are able to crosstalk about the application, the conceptual site model design, and all these things all in one setting with the audience.
And you all don't manufacture certain technology, so that's one of the things I love is you are open to using whatever the best technology is for cleaning up that contamination at that specific site.
That's right. I don't know how many different product vendors you've had at your workshops, but it's a lot. And all of them probably. And we've worked with all of them. We've applied permanganate, everybody's EVO, all kinds of EVO products. And a lot of times our clients, in particular the big major consultants, they do their own design work and they buy the product. But the medium and smaller size consulting firms, we often are asked to help them with the design, with the conceptual site model, and recommendations on what to put in the ground. So we just have a familiarity with all the products that are out there, how they work, and what might work best in a given geology or lithology. So we can help a client with that if they don't know their way around that technology, or we can just follow our client's instructions on how to put something in the ground.
I love that, because I think the reality is you're the first person they should call versus a product manufacturer. Not that that's bad. Obviously, the product manufacturers that speak at our
Yeah.
workshops are great. But the truth is you're not biased one way or the other. You have somewhat of an unbiased opinion. You're looking at a site and saying, here's the issues you're dealing with, and here's what we've seen work. And you even have a lab. Is that right?
That's right. Well, we used to have a full geochem lab, and we split that off and sold that. It was mostly doing oil gas geochemistry and specialty passive soil gas analysis, and we don't have that anymore. But I have the background in running all that stuff for a long time, and we keep a few small lab gadgets here to work
Right.
with and do our own testing and that sort of thing. But yeah, that's the chemical vendors and the product vendors have a lot of knowledge on how their stuff works. So we like to get with the consultant and with the product vendor, and we understand best how to get it in the ground and which materials, which tools are needed for specific types of products, because they're all different. You have carbon slurries that are granular, and some really thick pasty stuff that you might put in the ground, and then the light oils and things like that. And they all have to be delivered differently. They require different types of equipment. Some require low pressure, low flow injections, and other are high pressure jetted, or sometimes we have to, in really tight formations, in place fractures and sand and things to create permeability for the contaminants to move through.
Yeah, and if I mean, if somebody doesn't have the experience that you have on so many sites, sadly, some of these technologies that work well in a lab, like we're mentioning,
Right.
we will not see a good efficacy rate because it's been injected incorrectly.
That's right. It all works in a beaker. All these chemicals work. They all work in a beaker on the laboratory bench. But it's how you get it in the ground. And I've always called this a contact sport for a long time. And if you don't make contact, if you don't get the delivery mechanism right, you're not going to mix the reagent with the contaminant, and it's not going to work, if you don't do that. And that's generally what has gone wrong when these projects have not worked. And we all learned lessons the hard way in the early days of doing this. And, we've been doing it longer than anybody, pretty much.
Truly,
and and it's you can tell by all my white hair, but it's
the white hair kind of gives it away, John.
Yeah. So it's been a learning experience for all of us, but that's what we've learned. And just this past couple of years, I was on the ITRC committees for the optimized in situ injection technologies and the advanced site characterization technologies. Both those teams started at the same time 2 years ago, and we just finished wrapping up and put out the initial documentation. And they're really good references I recommend for people to look at. I was part of helping write on both those teams, which was a challenge. I wish they hadn't started them both at the same time, but that's how it happened. And it was quite an interesting thing to try to do my job and also do all that at the same time. But it was a great experience. There was 200 people on each team, and a lot of collaboration, and a lot of good information came out of it.
I think most everybody in the environmental industry is familiar with ITRC, but give the short synopsis ITRC in case somebody doesn't.
Interstate Technology Regulatory Council. So they're an organization, and I can't remember, there's kind of a parent organization, ECOS, but it's all state operated. And the objectives are to create guidance documents and guidance information for all the state regulators to implement these new technologies. So, state regulators, they've got a lot on their plate all the time anyway. So this organization has been put together to take experts from the field and write guidance documents to help educate in simple forms all the regulators and give them the information they need to oversee or review or recommend technologies for their sites.
And we've partnered with ITRC with our global summit coming up. They'll actually have a specific track or breakout session at our global summit in Charlotte here in September. So I'm looking forward to that. So let's talk. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say that's really great because my calendar's been cleared for the next few months. All the conferences have been canceled, including Battelle, which ITRC participates in and does some of their short courses and stuff. And it'll be great for that to have that happen at your at the
Global Summit. Yeah, the EnvrioSummit. So let's talk about the pandemic. The reason our calendars are cleared, and has the crisis changed? You know, the coronavirus changed the way you guys are doing things out in the field, or talk to us a little bit about that for you guys.
It has. There's definitely a lot more awareness, and fortunately, out in the field, our operations are kind of socially distanced anyway, and we just need to be a little more vigilant. Our guys, we all have half-face respirators. We're wearing those more now, and we had some of the, other masks available. But things are being done. When you do this work, you have to have the 40-hour HAZWOPER, training. Mm-hmm. And so we all have that. And the things you do to stay clean and keep contamination from spreading are not that different from keeping biologic contamination from spreading. True. So we're just modifying our methods and our procedures and to handle that better. We don't travel by plane, we travel by vehicles, so has not been a problem. And it's just being cautious when you're checking into hotels, where you eat and how you eat and those sorts of things, and just washing your hands a lot.
That's right. Yeah. The stuff we should be doing, right?
Right.
So you're able to still meet the needs of your customer in the midst of this crisis.
Yes, we are. We have people working at home who can do that. Our administrative staff is all working remotely. So we were set up to do that already for most people, and some we just had to do a few tweaks to get things working smoothly that way. Our facility here is in Golden, Colorado, is 6,000 square feet. So we never generally have, people either working in the field. The few of us that are in the office at a given time, we're all apart in different rooms, and it's easy to stay spread out and put a mask on when you have to get near each other. But it's easy to keep way more than 6 feet away from each other in our space and in the shop out back where they're working on equipment and setting jobs up and that sort of thing.
Let's talk about the trust fund. As we were just chatting before getting on the program here, I knew you did a fair amount. I know you do a lot with cleaning up contaminated gasoline station sites, petroleum. What's been the impact that you've seen there in Colorado in light of the coronavirus?
Well, from when the orders all started coming out, and Colorado was fairly early in implementing some of the shutdown orders, we really didn't know what to expect. It was a little worrisome at first, but one by one, all of our clients were contacting us and telling us they were planning to go forward with projects as best they could on things that were still considered essential or critical. A lot of what we work in is either infrastructure or transportation or groundwater protection. So a lot of those fell under the essential categories, and almost all of our clients were saying such. But then we started getting, we do a lot of work in this area on the tank fund program, and that's all funded by, in Colorado specifically, it's funded by every state's different, but in Colorado, $100 tax on every tanker load that goes into the fueling station's tanks. Okay. So they're paying that, and that goes into the fund that funds the cleanup. So once that fund is flush with money, there's plenty. If a operator has a release, they have a $10,000 deductible, and then everything is covered by this. Essentially, it's an insurance fund run by the state. And the problem is, I'll tell you what, I've been driving around here and there, and there's nobody on the road. And
Nobody.
that's obvious that
That's right.
the traffic has been cut way down, and
Yep.
the air is cleaner,
Yep.
and that's having a big impact on these funds that rely on that tax. And it's not so much the price of oil is low, but that tax is a fixed amount per gallon, and so it's the volume of traffic that's been reduced, and the lack of fuel being used. And
Yep.
we now have a surplus of oil. We have a surplus of these refined products, and the taxes aren't going into the state fund. So some of our projects that were scheduled to go in the next couple of months here have just been delayed because the program is worried about their fund liquidity. So
Right.
that happened. We had a state DOT project that was scheduled on. It was a big property transaction, and they've postponed that one because of they just didn't feel it was that essential to get that done right now. And they're all working on other priorities too. So so some things have been canceled like that. Others are still going forward, including with the state fund. If it's not a what they call a state lead, where the state is managing the project and using their consultants to do the work, then those are still going forward, but some of the state lead projects are not.
Yeah, until we started chatting about the trust fund, I honestly hadn't thought of the lack of us driving in the country. You know, when business was usual, normal, the fact that how that would impact us, you know, the environmental consultants who are listening to this program, how that affects our industry when we're not out driving and nobody's buying gasoline for a month or 2 months, you know, frankly, or something, you know, whatever, how long it could be. The impact that has, frankly, on every state. I mean, you're of course seeing it there in Colorado, where you all are doing a lot of your work, but that's nationwide, frankly. I mean, that's every trust fund. I know here in North Carolina, we have a very healthy trust fund to clean up contaminated, you know, gasoline stations, but I didn't even think about the impact that would have on our industry.
And you know, we've heard the EPA has delayed enforcement on some projects and given people a reprieve on deadlines, and that's happening in every state, I think. The state regulators for different, you know, whether it's the health department or the oil and public safety fund, those are all being delayed. They're allowing their clients to have a month or two extra to meet deadlines for compliance and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, listen, John, I know your time is valuable. You're a busy guy, so I appreciate you coming on the program. We were supposed to have the Denver workshop right before the virus hit here, and everything got shut down, and all of a sudden plans are changed. And I had flights, you know, we all had flights booked, and well, you didn't because you're right there in Denver, but I had flights booked to come. And
we were supposed to go to Salt Lake the next day, and then
that's right. You know, and you and I were talking about going skiing the day before.
Yeah, that's right.
That would have been fun, and oh man, all that kind of.
All our ski areas are shut down. You know, they did that first thing, and because that was in Colorado, that's where it started first. That's found,
right, in Aspen, it was really bad.
Yeah, Aspen. Yeah, a lot of the ski areas, you know, they have international people coming in and from all over the country to these destination ski areas, and it impacted them quite severely. And those areas are dead quiet right now.
I can't even imagine.
And we just had a foot of snow just a couple days ago here down in the Denver area, and the mountains. It just, you can imagine what it looks like.
It's got to look beautiful.
Yeah, it's snowing all week up there right now.
Well, I look forward to whenever we reschedule it. I know we're talking June, but I look forward to getting back out there and seeing you again, John.
Yeah, we'll have to hit the slopes together.
That's right, in June, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully the snow will stay that long, right?
They won't. I don't think they're going to reopen this year, but like Arapahoe Basin tries to stay open until July 4th every year if they can. They don't usually make that these days, but but some of them, some of the higher elevation areas can stay open into May, June, pretty easily. Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, then I'll take you up on that.
We can go golf in the morning down here, and then go up and ski in the afternoon.
Go ski in the afternoon. That sounds great. Hey, thanks again, John. I appreciate it.
You bet. It was great to be here.
All right.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye.